Mark Hamilton pointing at the wall. Mr. McCartney, ladies and gentlemen.
Applause, applause. Don't stop. Keep going. Come on. Let's just applaud through the whole press conference. I'll applaud you. Oh. Well, good afternoon. Hi. Yeah. Do I have an opening statement? No. That is my opening statement. Good afternoon. Yeah. You see, I don't know why he grabbed.
There's been a lot written about your songwriting and singing. I've always been interested about your bass playing. Where did that come from, your melodic style?
Because I started off on guitar originally, and I sort of got lumbered with bass. Nobody ever used to want to play bass. It used to be the kind of the job for the sort of the guy who stood at the back, and the guitarists were always the stars, you know. But me, John, and George started off on guitar at the same time as each other. And when Stuart, our bass player, left for Hamburg, this could go on 3 hours, this story. When Stuart left to stay in Hamburg, I naturally assumed the others wouldn't do it, is why I had to do it. So I became the bass player. I was the only one willing to take the job. And I hated it generally for a couple of years, but then I started to like it and started to realize, you know, you could play it a bit more like a guitar and that you could get melodic with it. And around about the time of Sgt. Pepper, I started playing some quite nice melodic lines there. And then I liked it after that. And I still like it.
I've heard a lot of things about you over the years, but one thing I never really hear is, what are your hobbies? What was Paul McCartney doing?
My hobbies? Linda's introduced me to horse riding, and this is the place to tell you that, isn't it? Hey. She's a very good rider, Linda, and when she was a kid, she was like horse mad. And she actually rode at Madison Square Garden when she was a kid, so it gives you an idea if she was actually good, you know. And she taught me when we started getting together. So I love horse riding, and I'm not bad now, pretty good. I love painting. I started painting when I was 40, because they said life begins at 40, so I decided to start something and prove a point, you know. So I paint canvases. I eat up canvases now. Millions. I don't know, really. I don't do them to sell, you know, I just do them. It's like a therapy for me. I just love it. They're getting bigger, though.
What are you painting?
They're big. All sorts. Like, I kind of just like messing around with paint, so they often come out abstract. But, you know, all sorts of stuff. I just paint whatever I fancy on that day, you know. But I really enjoy it. It's a great hobby for me. And then my kids are a great hobby. I like to spend a lot of time with them. They're good fun. Yeah.
Since you've been on tour, I've heard a lot of talk from you about the Beatles, and one thing that really was interesting to me is you said this is the first time in your career that you've been very at ease playing Beatles songs. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, I mean, since the Beatles, of course, I was at ease playing Beatles songs with the Beatles. Yeah. No, I thought, you know, you might have thought that. No, I was always happy to play them with the Beatles, but after the Beatles broke up, there was this danger that all you could do for the rest of your life was play Beatle tunes and never write any new music, you know. And it was a clear danger, I think, perceived by a lot of people, including me. So what all of us did was kind of turned our backs on the Beatles material for a good few years there. And you wouldn't have heard any of us playing Beatles stuff, really, unless it came to, I don't know, John might kind of get up on stage with Elton John and stuff, and then they'd play Lucy in the Sky or something like that. But normally we steered clear of it in order to kind of make a future for ourselves other than just with the Beatles.
Like, how would Ringo and George respond to you playing Beatles songs? They care if they say,
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't asked them. I don't think they'd mind. You know, I mean, the songs I do on this show, I don't really think of them Beatles songs. They're kind of my songs, most of them. I don't really even do hardly any tunes here that are kind of heavily co-written with John. Like I Want to Hold Your Hand or From Me to Yours, a lot of the earlier stuff, She Loves You. I steer clear of that. So it's kind of my material, really. That's what we're presenting in this show. And that's what this gives me a chance to do, really. But yeah, I was a little bit kind of, you know, steering clear of it. But enough time has gone by now. You know, time's a great healer. And I just feel good about it now. They just feel like good songs to do, you know. It doesn't remind me of any sort of bitter memories or anything. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, you? Little old you? Oh. I don't think so. I think, you know, when Michael bought them, it was kind of fair and square. They were up for grabs, basically because of the deal John and I did in the beginning when we were like about 20. And we thought songs just were in the air. We didn't realize anyone owned them. And, you know, so we did what would now be seen as like a very bad deal. We basically gave them away. That's what we did. You know, age 20, what's the kind of thing you do age 20, right? Anything to get published, it's like your first novel, you know. So they've been someone else's ever since the beginning. It's always been someone else's company, even though, you know, we were told it was going to be our company. Yeah, it's tough at the top. But that was one of those things. So, I mean, you know, Michael got them fair and square. I'm talking to him at the moment about giving me a better deal, Michael, if you're watching. Because, you know, it's 30 years and I've done rather well for this company. So I don't see me kind of buying them back. Well, unless he wants to flog them, but I don't see him flogging them. It would be nice, obviously, but I think a better deal would do me, yeah.
When this particular tour started, was there one thing in the back of your mind that you wanted to accomplish by it above all else?
Well, I mean, I think there were two things, really. One of them was a personal thing of just proving to myself more than anyone that I could still enjoy going on tour and singing and performing as a kind of an art form, you know. And I have enjoyed this tour a lot. I'm still enjoying it, you know. It's whereas I thought I'd get well fed up by now. But we're actually kind of still having fun on stage and stuff. So it was one, just a personal thing for me as a kind of career thing. And then the other thing that Linda and I wanted to do was get involved with this Friends of the Earth issue. Because we thought, well, it's fine going around the world and, you know, playing to fans, enjoying yourself, making a lot of money, etc., which is what people normally do it all for. But we thought, well, it'd be nice if when we get back after the tour, that we could actually sit down and think, you know, we did something else a little bit more important on this tour. So the ecological thing has loomed large, you know, since they found the hole in the ozone layer. I think for all of us, you know, not just parents. I'm a parent of 4 kids, so it's important to me. But I think the kids themselves and everyone. It's a huge issue now. In fact, I think it's the issue. Personally, can't think of any other issue, really, because, you know, if the whole planet goes up, where do the other issues go? So I think it's the single most important thing to get involved with now. And so we're going around the world and talking to people when people like you give me an opportunity with a question like that. Yeah.
With your upcoming stadium tour, how is the show going to differ from the indoor shows, especially in Cleveland?
Well, the stadium show is just bigger. That's really the only thing. What happened was we were doing this size of shows, which is about 15,000. And these were really looking huge to us and stuff, and we thought we had a real big show and stuff, but we played the Toronto Dome, played a big Superdome up there, and the show looked very little. It looked nice, but little, you know. And it was that thing, you couldn't see anyone, like, which, you know, I normally hate stadium shows. You can't even tell if the band's there, you know, it might just be a tape. A lot of little roadies running around looking, you know, in wigs, you know, is he here, man? So we decided to scale it all up, and we've done a big thing with screens, which is quite nice. It involves like a 60-foot image of me. Frightening thought, really.
In 1966, when you last played Cleveland Stadium, rumor has it that you slept all night, you and the whole band, on second base in a trailer. Any recollection of that moment?
I don't think that's true. Sounds like a good story, though. We could get it going if you want.
They're putting the trailer on display. It says that you guys.
Really?
Yes.
No, I don't like the sound of that one. I think I'd remember that, don't you?
Yeah.
I think it was hotel time. But, you know, these stories arrive. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, you, and then you.
How is living through the drugs and free love and movies in the 60s, how's that affecting your character?
Sorry, don't you say that again? I missed the beginning.
Living through the drugs and the free love and the grooviness of
Yeah.
the 60s thing, how's that affecting your parenting? Are you more mellow or are you more strict?
Yeah, well, our kids, as a joke in our family, you know, they kind of say, Mom and Dad, come on, you're supposed to be the straight ones, you know. You know, we're supposed to be the weirdos. They think we're weird, but, you know, only affectionately kind of thing. I think it was a pretty good thing, the 60s, although it went to excess, you know, like most things. Kind of like the pendulum, it swung too far out one way, you know. But I think there were a lot of very interesting things discussed then that I think are now going to be rediscussed in the 90s, because I haven't really seen anything else brought up in the 70s and 80s, personally. If there had been, I'd be onto it, you know, and be interested in it. But I think now we're going to have to reevaluate things like, you know, ecology, which was a very heavy 60s issue, and things like that. I think the drug thing obviously went too far, and I think administrations found it very difficult to deal with, like they're finding now. I think it is a really difficult question. I think they should personally, I think they should be not so repressive, not so tough on kids, and try and understand the root causes of it, instead of just, you know, sticking them in prison. I mean, that's going to make worse criminals out of them. Pretty much everyone agrees on that. I don't know what to do, you know. But I think generally with me, maybe it's made me a little bit more mellow as a parent than I was probably going to be. So, yeah.
I know that both you and Linda are vegetarians and you're very sensitive to animals. Can you speak about animal rights and also tell me how you come so long to
Well, that's what Linda you got to talk to about that. She can't bear being away from them, you know. Well, you know, when you come on tour, you've got to make a decision to be away from your animals. And yeah, we've got a lot of animals on the farm where we live, and but we've also got some real good people. Got a couple of good guys who work on the farm, so we trust them, you know. So we're not worried about the animals. That would be a problem. But yeah, we've been vegetarian for 20 years, and we enjoy it. I think, you know, it's maybe part of what we're starting to talk about with the ecology. I think it fits in quite nicely with that whole idea. To me, it's just a little less brutal. The society, you know, if you go to a slaughterhouse, you kind of see why people are brutal to each other, you know. Has the what been bad? Oh yeah, it's the same everywhere, you know. You know, it's not the kind of place I'd like to go to, especially if I was a cow. But you know, I mean, I don't kind of go on about it. Linda's much more activist about it. She's a woman. I think women feel deeper about these kind of things because they have babies, you know, so they're really sort of, you know, rootsy about all that stuff. I feel very much about it, but a little bit more sort of manly way. Do you know what I mean? I don't like going on about it as much as she does. But it doesn't mean I care any less, but it's one of those things we need 3 hours to discuss that, you know. But I say we're keen vegetarians and would like to see everyone else go vegetarian, so please do. Thank you very much. Yeah.
With all the songs that you've done, like with the Beatles, with Queen, in your solo career, was it hard to come up with a concert list? And also, were there any songs that just kind of barely didn't make it?
Yeah, what I did with the concert list was I just imagined about a year before we started planning this tour, I just thought, what would I like to hear the band do? What would I like if I was coming to the concert? So I wrote out about 35 numbers of mine that I thought they could do, you know, if I went to their show. And we rehearsed them all, and most of them made it to the show. There were one or two that came in just from suggestions. Our keyboard player, who's called Wicks, suggested the Abbey Road medley that we now do. And I thought it was a little bit kind of obscure, and I wasn't going to do it. But we were videoing our rehearsals. And the guy, a friend of ours who runs my studio in England, he had to go outside to have a little weep while we did that song. So we thought, oh God, that's got to go in, you know, if it's done that to him. So that came in for that reason. It was basically really, we just played a lot of songs and just saw what we thought would work in a concert framework. Yeah. It's just like school, isn't it? Jones Minor. Yes, boy. Keep it brief.
I was fortunate enough to see you in concert in the mid-'60s, and at that age, as a teenager, the music seemed perfect. And as I got older, the music seemed, the lyrics seemed mature. Were you maturing with that? Is that why the lyrics changed, or did you just feel that it was more appropriate to get some more meaningful lyrics in?
No, I think there were a number of things. I think first of all it was that we were just maturing anyway and learning more about the world and kind of, we came to America. I mean, when you're from Britain and you suddenly make it in America, that matures you fairly quick. But there was that, and then there was influence of other people too. Bob Dylan was a big influence in lyrics. He being more poetic. When he came to the fore, I think a lot of people, like the Stones, certainly were influenced heavily by Dylan. A lot of people were. So I think it was a combination of that, just ourselves maturing and also being influenced by these slightly more artistic people, than we had been before. We've been influenced mainly before by great lyricists like Chuck Berry, who I seriously do think he's a great lyricist, Chuck. I see you smiling because, you kind of, you like him, yeah. I mean, I think he's a poet, But then when Dylan came along, it did get a little more sort of serious kind of thing, which was cool. We were very happy. Yes, man at the back. It's really difficult to choose it because I like different albums for different things. If I had to choose just one, I think I'd probably go for Sgt. Pepper. But, having said that, immediately then I'd start to think about Abbey Road and Revolver and Rubber Soul and even a couple of my own synths. But, if I had to just plump for one, it would be Sgt. Pepper. Yeah, you.
What do you go through when you write a song? I mean, has it changed since you were writing the Beatles?
Yeah, it's changed quite a lot, yeah. When we first wrote, we didn't know how to write at all, so we were really copying other people. Well, you don't have lessons and stuff like that, you just pick up a guitar and try and do something. So we were emulating people like Buddy Holly, Chuck Berry, people like that when we started. But then as we went, we got different influences. And also my big influence for me are from my father's era, like Cole Porter is probably my favorite songwriter, just craftsman-wise. So you start to each time you do it, really, it changes, and it's a question of getting lucky. I think some days it's really quite hard to write a song, so I maybe just sort of say, well, I won't do that now. I'll go for a walk or something. And some days they're just so easy. I mean, it's quite mystical how it all happens. Far out, man. But for instance, like yesterday, I dreamed. My most successful song ever. I just woke up one morning with it in my head. And I talk about lucky, right? I mean, I don't know how that came. I just woke up and there it was. So, you can't really tell how I wrote that one. It sort of arrived, Yeah. So.
We just have a couple more questions and we're going to go.
Have we? Jeff Ross.
On stage, in terms of how committed are you?
Well, I'm very committed, but one of the values, I think, for me speaking for Friends of the Earth is that I'm not very knowledgeable, like most people. I want to recycle, I want to do this, I want to do that, but I don't actually know what to do. So the good thing on this tour is that the Friends of the Earth people are the experts. That's just what they do full time. So that's why I encourage people, who anyone wants to get involved and find out about it. So, the kind of thing happens in our home was that the minute we heard about these CFCs in hairsprays, my daughters did used to OD on the hairspray a bit. And it used to be the old kind. And I was going to say something to them, which when the week the news came out. But they actually caught on before I did. And I sort of went up to their room and said, now see these girls? And, oh, sorry, ozone friendly. And they'd bought ozone friendly ones already, So it's great. They're doing it themselves, really.
You've been in the spotlight a long time, but I think that when an everyday person looks at fame or being a celebrity, they look at all the good things, all the public images that you've had over all those years. You're in a position where it's very, very difficult for you to turn it off. You've been burdened with it a long time, if you want to call it a burden. How do you deal with that?
Well, I don't really think it's a burden. It's like most people here, want the top job on their newspaper, right? I don't know many people who want the worst job in the factory or anything, you know. So you're going for it. And if you're going for the top job, you've got to know there's certain pressures there. I don't see it as a burden. And I can switch off, actually. That's why I'm so private in my private life. That's where I switch off. Not here. I'm switched on here. This is me switched on. I've shaved, you know. On a day off, it's the other one. It's the other me. And that balances me up. Like these things I'm talking about, horse riding and painting and stuff. I switch off, you know, and I'm not nothing like famous then. Not in my own mind, you know. I do make a big conscious effort to learn how to switch off, because I see it as a major danger if you can't. But not just for me, for everyone. You know, if you take your work home, it's like crazy time. I've been through that. There was a lot of that in Apple. I used to come home every night. You know what they said today? God, they're suing me for millions. Linda said, that's all right, sit down, you know, have a cup of tea. I don't want a cup of tea. You know. Well, I've learned better than that now. I can switch off now. And songs like kind of put it there has become a sort of favorite with audiences and things. So I'm very happy, yeah, you know. The singles are an awful funny business these days. I mean, we used to put a single out and it used to be like the thing that we were doing. The album used to be kind of secondary. Now it's the other way around. Singles now, it's like they make movies to promote video cassettes. It's the new world, man. It's what they do these days. So singles, you know, I just release them, but, you know, they kind of do okay, but they're really exposure for the album, unfortunately, which is a bit weird for me. I better give someone who hasn't had a go a chance. With the new band, when we were making Flowers in the Dirt, the new album, we got Hamish involved, who used to be with the Average White Band. His voice blends very nicely with mine. He's a real good singer. He's kind of very soulful singer. He used to sing a lot of soul stuff. Chris Whitten, the drummer, showed up when we were doing some jamming in London. And those sessions, we recorded some of those old rock and roll things. They became the Russian album that we released in Russia, which earned the first gold disc to come out of Russia, I might tell you. He said proudly. And then Linda was living at our house. So I said to her, can you handle this being in a band again? You know, because she did real good with Wings, although she got a lot of flack. And we enjoyed being together, so she came in for that, really, you know. And she's enjoying herself on tour. And then Robbie is a real good guitar player who plays around in London, and I'd worked with him. Robbie McIntosh used to be in the Pretenders. And Paul Wickens is the keyboard guy who completes the lineup, and he's just a brilliant keyboard guy. And these days, you know, if you're going to use strings off a synthesizer, you've got to have fairly all-round kind of boffin type keyboard player. So he does that.
Sorry.
Jeffrey, can we have one more? Come on, this guy, Leon.
How do you compare your tour this year with your tour in 1976? What changes do you see? You seem to be doing more songs with the Beatles.
Well, in '76, the thing was, it was too near the Beatles breakup. It was just six years after the Beatles breakup, basically. It was a bit too painful doing all the Beatles songs. And as I said before, also, you got the feeling like, this is all I'm good for. You know, that period in my life is all I've ever done. You know, I will never do anything in the future. It was a bit of a bleak prospect for the future. You know, it was like, well, I might as well just retire and go into another profession, which I didn't really want to do. So we steered away from a lot of Beatles stuff then, for that reason. Now, it's really now a question of not doing those Beatles songs again and sticking to the old theory, which I think now would be a pity. You know, so in this show, like we do Hey Jude and things like that, which I've never really done with the Beatles because we'd given up touring at that time. So it's a joy to do the Beatles songs now. It's great, and it doesn't seem to me like I'm kind of copping out or anything. We do about half the show's Beatles stuff. But as I said before, it's kind of mainly stuff that I wrote in the Beatles, so I feel it's fair to do it, you know, without looking too much like a kind of 60s repackaged tour. And I think that's one of the good things that's come off on this thing is that people have said, you know, that it doesn't seem like that. They're the old songs, but kind of with a new twist.
Thanks very much indeed, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, cheers. Thank you.
Only a few guys.
Amy.
Only a few.
Do you remember Dennis Murphy from Liverpool and Balmoral?
Oh, hi, Bobby. It's me. So, we didn't actually.
One more, we gotta go. Hey, thank you very much. Thank you.
They're trying to get me out and keep coming.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.